So, in the last lecture, we discussed the concept of limit points in the topological spaces. So, as we know that the topology generalizes the notion of open sets of the real line, Rn, all those things. We need a general concept of limit point. So, Ax is a limit point of A if every neighborhood. So, neighborhood means open set. So every open set containing X intersects with the given set A. Then we say X is a limit point of A. So here the important thing is that other than X, uh, the neighborhood intersects with A in the point other than X. The only difference in X belongs to A closure and X is a limit point is that here X the neighborhood intersects with set A in the point other than X itself. So we already know this from the real analysis, and then we discussed that X is a limit point, that is nothing but this condition, and we have generalized the result of real analysis for the any topological space, that if A is a subset of X and it is a set of all limit points of the set given set A, then A closure is nothing but A union the set of limit points. A union it is. So after this result, we discuss the definition of Hausdorff space. Hausdorff space is a topological space. It is a special type of topological space which has the property that if I have two distinct elements of the space X, then I can find two open sides. Using these open sides, I can differentiate these 2 points, x1 and x2. So how I differentiate? The condition is that u1 and u2 are disjoint. So we have seen that using this diagram, that in R2, if I take the xy plane and if I take x1 and x2 are any 2 points in R2, then I can find two open sets has which are disjoint, and one containing x1, the other containing x2. And the open set we will select in R2, or we can select as open disk in particular. So even if we want, we can consider the two different rectangular regions also, but these are the simplest one because these are the basis elements, open disk. So R2 is a Hausdorff space, but we have seen that if I take x equal to R, and on that set I consider cofinite topology, then if I take two distinct points 1 and 2, which are real numbers, so this belongs to X, but I cannot find open sets which one containing the number 1, the other open set containing the number 2, and this u1 and u2 are disjoint. So we proved if u1 and u2 always contains infinitely many points, right? There are infinitely many points in u1 intersects in u2, whatever u1 and u2 we take, which are open and containing these 2 points. So therefore, the intersection is non-empty. So here I should write that intersection is non-empty. So just correct these, because for Hausdorff space we have to show the intersection is 5. It is a null set. but we have shown that the intersection contains infinite limit point. So therefore, it does not satisfy the property of space, right? So it is not Hausdorff space. After this example, we discuss one result that every finite set in a Hausdorff space is closed. So we have a collection of topological spaces, and then we have a subfamily of that is known as Hausdorff spaces. If I take any Hausdorff space, then every finite subset of that Hausdorff space is always closed. So that is this result. So basically, this says that if X is Hausdorff, then any finite subset of that is closed. So what we proved is
Sir, I have a doubt in the last limit point definition.
so that we can discuss after the lecture.
Okay.
Is it fine? Okay, so we proved that X is a Hausdorff space. Then every finite subset of X is closed. So this is what we proved, but then we have discussed that converse of this result. So this is exactly the theorem which we proved just now. The converse is fails. So if I have a space which has whose all finite subsets are closed, then it is not, it should not be the Hausdorff space. So the example which we already discussed, that on the real line, if I take cofinite topology, then we know that every finite set in cofinite topology is closed. So it satisfies this property. But it is the real numbers with cofinite topology is not Hausdorff. So converse of this theorem does not hold. So this property, the topological spaces having this property are known as T1 spaces. So the topological space in which every finite subset is closed. So let us start with that. So definition. A topological space is X in which every finite subset is closed is called a T1 space. So topological satisfying that property that if I have x1 and x2 and I find neighborhoods u1 and u2 which are disjoint is known as Hausdorff space. Same way, a topological space in which every finite subset is closed, then such a topological space is known as T1 space or satisfy the T1 axiom. So let us try to prove one theorem regarding the T1 space. So let X be a T1 space. So every we already know from this result that every Hausdorff space is T1 space. It satisfies this property. right? So whatever we are proving here in this theorem, it holds for the Hausdorff space also. So let X be a T1 space and consider A to be a subset of X. Then the point X is a limit point of A if and only if every neighborhood of X intersects with A in infinitely many points. So we already know this from the some of the example in the real analysis, that if I take kind of open interval and then I take midpoint of that open interval or any point which is the limit point of that set, and around that point if I take neighborhood, so for example this point, so this point is a limit point. If I take any neighborhood around this point, the intersection is infinite. So if this condition holds, then only we say that X is a limit point. The same thing we are proving here for the general T1 space. So R2 is Hausdorff space, our real line is also Hausdorff space. So on real line, we instead of open disk, we consider open intervals. So we can differentiate any 2 points by open intervals. So what doubt you have? Let me check that. Vikas.
Sir, we have said that X belongs to A minus extra closure.
Hmm.
Then how we write this? Yeah.
This one you are saying, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
About definition.
this is okay. So let me explain. So we are saying that A is a subset of X. X is a limit point of A if every neighborhood of X intersects A in a point other than X itself.
Yes, sir.
So if I take so this is my set A and this is my point X. This neighborhood U intersects A in a point other than X. So that means what? I am basically checking U intersection A minus X is non-empty,
Yes, sir.
right? And this is same as that we are considering the closure of this set. So what is the definition of X belongs to A closure? Every neighborhood such that X belongs to U implies to intersection A is non-empty. So now we have to use this, so we will get that. So instead of a closure, we have here a minus x closure. So here we have a minus x closure. Sorry, a minus x.
So A minus X closure means A minus X union A minus X का all limit points.
See, we are saying x is the limit points of set A if and only if x is in closure of this set. So this and this are different set. This is A, this is A minus x. Okay, so think about that. We will discuss in the next lecture again. Okay, so now let us come back to this, that if x is a D1 space and A is a subset of x, then x is a limit point of A if and only if every neighborhood of x contains infinitely many points of A. Now, if you see the definition of limit point just now, which we discussed, that x is a limit point of A if every neighborhood of x intersects with A in a point different from x. But now we want to show that it not only intersects in one point other than x, but in actually infinitely many points other than x. So one part is easy. If it intersects in infinitely many points other than x, then every neighborhood intersects in a point other than x. So one part is clear because this implies it is a limit point. So let us write down it. So if every neighborhood means open set of x intersects A in infinitely many points, then x is limit point of A. So this part is trivial. The difficult part is the converse part. That if it is a limit point, then we have to show that it intersects in the neighborhood of x intersects with A in infinitely many points. So let us try to prove the converse of this. So conversely, suppose that x is a limit point of the set A. Now consider a neighborhood of this point. So what we want to prove that every neighborhood of x, it intersects with A, it contains the points of A with infinitely many points, right? So let us assume that this neighborhood contains only finitely many points of A, right? So suppose that there is a neighborhood U of X which contains finitely many points of A. So what does it means? It means that whenever I take U intersection A, then U intersection A is finite set, right? Because U contains only finitely many points of A. So now in this U intersection A, it may happen that X belongs to the U intersection A, or X may not belongs to U intersection A, depending on X whether belongs to A or not. So let us write down this finite intersection x1, x2, x3. Because it is a finite set, I will stop by xm, which is, instead of U intersection A, I will write A minus X, because I don't want X to be in this set. So since U intersection A is a finite set and this is a subset of that, this set is a subset of U intersection A and this set is finite set, I can always represent the finite set in this form by considering the finitely many elements. Right? So this finite intersection I am denoting by the elements. It is a finite set, so we are denoting by the elements by x1, x2, xm. So now what is the hypothesis? Hypothesis is that the topological space X is a T1 space. And in T1 space, the definition is that the topological space is T1 space if every finite subset of that topological space is closed. And this is a finite set. This is a finite set. So since X is a T1 space and x1, x2, xm is a finite set, x1, x2, xm is a closed set. In X by the definition of T1 space. Now, since this is a closed set, its complement must be the open set. So therefore, X minus x1, x2, xm is a open set in X. So this set is open. So if I take intersection of this open set with another open set, then the intersection is again an open set. So therefore U intersection x minus x1, x2, xm is an open set in X, right? And further, we know that X belongs to U, and we know that x1, x2, xm does not equal to X, because therefore we have taken this condition that x1, x2, xm is U intersection A minus X. So therefore x1, x2, xn, xi does not equal to X. So if xi does not equal to X, that means X belongs to this set, the complement of this set. So not only this, and the set contains X. So this is an open set which contains X. That means it is a neighborhood of X. So finally note that. So what we need to show, we started with X is a limit point of A, that is assumption. Then we started a neighborhood which contains finitely many points of A. So basically we have started with some wrong statement, and then basically we want to find the contradiction. So we started with U is a neighborhood of X which contains finitely many points of A. Therefore x1, x2, xm is U intersection A minus X. And then we found this set which is open which contains X. And note, so basically this is a neighborhood of X. Note that this set which is a neighborhood, it intersection with A is a null set. So it's this set intersection A minus X is null set. Why? Because X already belongs to this set, and in A intersection, so this is a subset of U, and U intersects with this set only in x1, x2, xm, which we have already removed by taking the intersection, and we also removed X. So therefore this is a null set. So we found a neighborhood, you can call this set to be V. So V intersection A minus X is a null set. That means X does not belong to the, X is not a limit point of A. So what is the contradiction here? Can someone explain? So let me explain again. We found that there exists open set V containing X such that V intersection A so V does not contain a point other than X. And if we have a neighborhood which does not contain a point other than X, that means X is not a limit point of the set A. So that is what we proved here. So now this is a contradiction because we already started with the assumption that X is a limit point. We started with X is a limit point of A, and then we proved that we are getting a neighborhood which is not intersecting with A other than the point X by removing the point X. that means x is not a limit point of A, which is a contradiction. This contradiction is coming from our wrong assumption. The wrong assumption is that you you contains only finitely many points of A, and therefore this statement is wrong. That means U contains infinitely many points of A. So similar results we proved. This we already know actually from the real analysis, but now we proved it for the T1 spaces, and every Hausdorff space is T1 space. So therefore this is true for every Hausdorff space. So if I have a so what are the standard examples of Hausdorff space? So all metric spaces are standard examples of Hausdorff space. So let us consider X, which is a collection of topological spaces. So let us not write by X. This is a universal set, which is collection of all topological spaces in which we have collection, that is collection of Hausdorff spaces. Every Hausdorff space is a T1 space. So this is collection of T1 spaces, and here we have collection of metric spaces. So every metric space is Hausdorff space, every Hausdorff space is T1 space, and there are some example of topological spaces which are not T1. So all these things we discuss some counter examples later on. This is just to give you idea that how one collection is contained in the other collection. Okay, so let us stop the discussion of Hausdorff space and go back to the new topic, that is continuous functions. So in one of the lecture I discussed continuous function on the topological spaces. So if x and y be two topological spaces, we say that f is continuous if inverse image of open set is open. So if I take v which is open set in codomain, then f inverse v is open set in the domain topological space. And we discussed one that this definition is equivalent to the standard epsilon delta definition of continuity when we consider domain and codomain to be the real numbers. And we discuss this definition of continuity is equivalent to the another condition that instead of inverse image of open set is open, we need to check only that inverse image of basis element is open. Right, so f inverse b is open in x for every basis b in y. So let us first discuss one example of this type. So consider a function f from R to Rn, defined by fx equal to x for all real number r. So usually we call this type of function the identity function because it sends the same element to same element. So as I said, R and RL are same, elements are same. Only thing is the open sets are different here. So here open sets we are considering with respect to the standard topology, and on RL is the lower limit topology. That means we are considering the topology generated by the closed open intervals, closed A to open B. So that type of intervals, they are the basis element. So we want to check that this function is continuous or not. So is f continuous? So answer of this question is we need to check the so we can check either inverse image of open set is open, or other way we can check that inverse image of basis element is open. So since we know the basis elements of RL, let us check whether the inverse image of the basis element is open or not. So we know that f is continuous if and only if f inverse B is open if B is the basis element in RL. This so open basically open mean R because in the domain is R and RL is codomain. So that means what we need to check, we know the basis of RL, that is of the form close open interval AB. So if we can check this is open in R for all real number AB such that A is less than B, then F is continuous. Now what is this function? The function defined as fx equal to x. So that means it is identity function. And under the identity function, the inverse image is the same set because f of x is x, that is the function. So f inverse of AB is nothing but closed interval AB. So if we can show that this set is open in R, then we are done. So does this set open in the standard topology?
No, no.
It is not open in the standard topology. So it is not open in the standard topology on R. So therefore this statement is false. It is false. It is wrong statement. So basically it fails. So this fails means the equivalently f fails to be the continuous function. So therefore f from R to RL is not continuous function. Right. So this is a simple example which I hope you have understood. So now you tell me if whether f from R2 are continuous.
Yes, yes, it continues.
Right, because here we need to check only that inverse image of the basis element here, and basis element here is open interval AB. And when you take inverse image, you will get the same set because the function is fx equal to x, and then we know that this is a basis element here also, so it is open. So identity function from R2 is continuous, but from R to RL is not continuous. So this is just a simple example to explain that how what is the importance of the topology. So when you change the topology, the same function becomes continuous in one topology. But so here in both the examples, the set is same, domain and codomain. It is from R to R. But what we are changing, we are changing the open sets. When you consider R, the open sets are depending on open interval AB, and that means the standard topology. And when we discuss RL, we have to consider the open intervals in RL. So therefore, the continuity depends on which topology you are taking. Not only which function we are taking, it also depends on which topology on domain and codomain we are taking. So let us just uh, recall one small result that so if my function is from x to y and a is a subset of, let us take b is a subset of y, then as we know f inverse b is nothing but a belongs to x such that f of a belongs to b. This is the definition of f inverse b. So now if I take some element x in f inverse b, if I take x in f inverse b, then we know that fx belongs to f of yeah. So let us take this. So let fx belongs to f of f inverse b. So if I take such an element, then obviously this means that x belongs to f inverse b, right? And if x belongs to x f inverse b, that means x is f of x. What are the elements of A inverse b? The elements whose f of a belongs to b. So therefore f of a belongs to b by the definition of f inverse b. So what did we prove? We started with fx in f of f inverse b, and we proved that f of x belongs to b. So therefore f of f inverse b is a subset of b. So this is just a trivial result from set theory. So we will require this result in a theorem. So let x and so let me state this result. This is a long result. Statement is long. So I will state it today and then prove in the next lecture. So just try to understand the statement. So x and y be a topological species and consider a function from x to y then the following statements are equivalent. So first statement is that f is continuous. So when we say f is continuous, means f is continuous on the whole domain. Okay? We are not discussing here continuity at a point. We are discussing f is continuous means on the full domain it is continuous. So in one of the condition of this theorem, we will explain what is the meaning of function continuous at a particular point. The second condition is that for every subset A of X, one has f of A closure is contained in f of A, the whole closure. Third condition is that for every closed subset B of Y, the set F inverse B is closed in X. So you must have seen these results. So for example, this is a continuity at a particular point. So for each x in X and every open set u of f of x there is a open set around X such that f of u is contained in V. So this fourth condition is known as holds. Then we say that f is continuous at the point X. So this is the definition of continuity at point X. So if you compare this with epsilon delta definition, this is exactly that definition. Sorry, this is V, this is U. So these four things you must have seen in analysis also. That is given in the Rudin's book also, basically in terms of matrix species. And in the Rudin's book of Principle of Mathematical Analysis, there is a small chapter which is the name is Basic Topology. So that deals with all these results which we are going to discuss throughout this course. But that book is discussing not the topological species, it discusses only matrix species, a special case of topological species. So let me